Josh Pastner, a veteran coach with 14 seasons leading programs like anywhere from Memphis to Georgia Tech. Now the man charged with restoring UNLV basketball back to its national promise. Coach, welcome to Scarlet Standard, and we're thrilled to have you.
Thanks for having me on. Always great to be able to have the opportunity to get the UNLV running rebel message out to all the fans out there and to all your followers.
Well, it's an honor to have you. You were hired back in March to lead one of a college basketball's most iconic programs. What drew you to UNLV, and how does that opportunity stack up to your past stops at Memphis and Georgia Tech?
Yeah, look, I mean, I was doing television. I had a great situation with TV. I was working for ESPN, working for Turner, working for NBC, working for CBS Sports. I mean, I had a great deal, and I had some other opportunities. However, they just were not I didn't feel they were better than television. But when the UNLV job opened and I had the opportunity to interview and then obviously had the opportunity to be offered the job, I mean, I was coming from Atlanta, Georgia. I would have run from Atlanta to Las Vegas to take this job. I understood what this job means, the history, the tradition, to have an opportunity to kind of sit in this chair with all the great coaches and obviously Coach Tarkanian and that run that they had, which I believe was the foundation and the blueprint to put Las Vegas on the map on what it is today and why it's the capital of the entertainment world, why it's the capital of the sports world. So to be able to do that, it was just an incredible opportunity, talking about pinching yourself and just that you're here and with that enthusiasm, that excitement. Now, we have a job to do. We have work to do. I understand I'm sitting in this chair as kind of the gatekeeper, trying to move the program forward to get everybody back to rally the fan base, reignite, re-energize, try to get Thomas and Mack Center back to where it's one of the hardest, if not the hardest places to ever for an opponent to come in here and try to win a game type deal. So it's a lot of work, as you know. I mean, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to roll up your sleeves, put your working boots on, put your hard hat on, and get to work and grind it every day. It's an everyday deal, but you got to have great enthusiasm and excitement and energy and passion about it. And I really believe that I have that inside. That's part of I use the word motor a lot, kind of just how you tick and how your engine's running, and that's kind of how we are here.
I don't know if you've seen it, but I wrote a piece about you and Coach Mullen a couple of weeks ago, and it was about how Vegas finally has the right people at the helm that kind of breathe the city. The city, thrives on enthusiasm and, charisma and personality, and that's unique. And it's something that, the city's been craving for a long time. And I think that with you and Coach Mullen, it's definitely, the fans are just it's like a breath of fresh air, in my opinion. I think fans can really get behind that.
Well, speaking on Coach Mullen, obviously Coach Odom did a great job football-wise. I'm a big football fan, but Coach Mullen is going to do just an incredible job as well. I mean, he's awesome, just flat out awesome. And he's a big-time college football coach. The guy has won everywhere he's been, and he's going to win at a very, very high level here at UNLV, and which is great for the city. It is great for UNLV, the school. It's great for the athletic department, so it's a win for everybody. So there's not a bigger Dan Mullen / football fan, UNLV football guy than myself, and so excited. And what's amazing, I'm so excited about their upcoming season. And when you think about it, they start here shortly because they had to move that one game. I mean, it's right around the corner when you think about it, because they moved the one game for that enabled to use so they could switch it up at Allegiant Air there, but at Allegiant Stadium. But they're going to have an awesome year. Coach Mullen's got full of the passion as well too, and looking forward to watching them play. And they're going to have, like I said, an outstanding season.
You kind of touched on it a little bit in your opening. You talked in other podcasts and interviews you've done too. You've talked so much about UNLV's history and what the brand power is for UNLV basketball. What does it mean to you to take over a program like this, and how do you plan to reconnect with the identity of what Rebel Nation really is?
Well, look, I talked about it. I don't know if you were at my press conference when I got the job. I don't know if we talked or not, or if you were there. I'm not sure. But as you know,
I attended, but I don't think we.
that we spoke. Okay. But you know, when I was on my press conference, I talked about how important the past is. And you just used the word reconnecting. And so going out to hire Justin Hawkins, great player here, but to bring at UNLV, had great success as a player, tough, hard nosed, knows what it means to wear the UNLV jersey, able to bring him back and on staff, and then go get, which is arguably the greatest rebel of them all, and Stacey Augmon, and to go back and fortunate to get him back on staff. And I tell you, we talked about that in honoring the past of the greatness of UNLV running Rebel basketball. And so to be able to have those two guys on our staff is a big thing. And of course, Stacey Augmon, as I mentioned, I mean, he's, if not the best one. I mean, you're either talking him or Larry Johnson in a way,
Yeah.
and he's such a great guy, and he really reconnects that era. That I was at this thing Saturday night on the Kings of Vegas, this film documentary that they're doing with the 80s and 90s team, especially the 1990s run and all that, just kind of that whole era. Boy, that put goosebumps on you. That team, what the crowd, the intensity, how they played, what they did. If that doesn't get the hair on the back of your neck standing up, man, I was so ready to run through a wall and go talk to our team about what, again, I've talked about it, but to fully now grasp it again, just continuing to be reiterated of just how important, of what that means of these four letters, UNLV, to wear that with such great pride and excitement and enthusiasm, and you play with such great appreciation. You never play entitled, because it means something wearing those four letters, and it's a global name. LV Running Rebel Basketball. It's globally known. It's got a incredible just a value about it. And so continuing to educate our young men that are currently going to on our roster about what that means. I'm hoping they can mirror their head coach on that as well too.
One of the players, so like when I mentioned to you, I talked to Al a little bit, and I mentioned to him that he should ask Justin about Anthony Marshall. Anthony Marshall plays. If you ever watch his film and you watch Al's film, they play very similar. And Anthony Marshall was one of those guys that was, rallied around Junkyard Dog, going around the city. One of those guys that slaps the floor when you're going back down on defense. And he was just a great ambassador for what, like you said, the four letters on the front. And he also mentioned, kind of like you said, the brand power of what UNLV is. And he mentioned to me that, like, when he was walking around Thompson Mack just during summer league, and he had UNLV stuff on, fans from around the city were just coming up to him and just saying, "We're so excited to see you guys play." And there's a rejuvenation and excitement, and like you mentioned, it's the reconnection with the city, and bringing back guys like Justin Hawkins and Stacey it's huge for the town.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, and I think it's important when the fans come into Thomas Mack Center, as we discussed, we want that to be a sixth and seventh man, where it's just such an incredible home court advantage. You look back in that era of that run with Coach Tarkanian, his staff, I mean, they rarely ever lost at home. I mean, if someone came in to win at home, it was almost impossible. You know what I mean? And part of that was because of the intensity and the atmosphere in the crowd. It was literally like a sixth and seventh man. And as you know, in the Mountain West currently, the Mountain West has great home court advantages when you go on the road. There's good places all across this league where it's hard to win on the road because of the home environment. So we've got to get that back to Thomas and Mack Center. And yes, part of that is, as you know, big part of my job is going out trying to raise money because of the new landscape of the NIL and paying players and paid, now the rules, you can pay guys directly from the school. So trying to go raise money is a huge part of my job. I mean, maybe even more than coaching at times, but it's just a different climate that we're in, in today's game. But you factor that in. And then I've told people, not everyone can give for the NIL or the paying for the players. And we need that because we want to get great talent. But if you're not able to do that, we need you to buy tickets and then come to the games. I mean, so you can help and be a big part of that one way or the other. But once we get people in the stands, I think it's really important that the product that we put on the floor is alignment with the fan base that's yeah, you know what to do. But anyways, I was saying, and so the alignment between the fan base that's going to be in the arena and the product on the floor that we put on the floor has got to be aligned. And for this city, they look, winning obviously is the ultimate goal, but how we play, what we do, how we play with such competitive excellence, the pace and speed that we do things at, I think is going to be a real big part of the alignment factor with people coming to Thomas and Mack and watching their team, watching their program perform and play.
So you kind of mentioned you went from the analyst chair to back to the sideline. How did those few years away from coaching help you reshape your approach to getting back?
Yeah, I mean, being out for 2 years doing television, you have an opportunity to really study a lot of teams. You have an opportunity to really go back and watch your game film for the first 14 years as a head coach when you're at Memphis and Georgia Tech, and watch a lot of the things that you did that you felt you did well, but also things that okay, we need to be better on these areas. And then you spending the 2 years to really take a deep dive into other programs and watch how other people do things, be at their practices, be at their shoot arounds, looking at film without from a 30,000-foot view perspective, without the intensity and the pressure of making decisions where winning and losing's on the line. And so you're able to maybe have a visual understanding and grasp of it all. And so that's kind of where, being out for those 2 years was a real benefit. I just feel I'm a better coach today than I've ever been. I have even a more so clear picture of how we need to get to where we need to get to, and excited for the opportunity for that to happen.
So touching on that, what does a Josh Pastner team look like when it's playing its best basketball now?
Yeah, good question. Look, I want our teams, number one, I use the word competitive excellence a lot. I mean, that's really important to me, to us, in alignment of what we want to do. Competitive excellence, what is that? I mean, that's having a great motor. That's playing with appreciation. That's diving on the floor for a 50-50 ball. You've got to win those loose balls. That's how hard do you cut? How hard do you make multiple effort plays defensively, second, third efforts? What about the ball movement? I always talk about kind of 0.5 decisions, but that thing's got to move. I want our team to be high assist on made field goals. I don't want the ball to be given a headache. I don't want it to be massaged. That thing's got to be moving. And so, just playing the right way. And look, every coach is going to say that. I mean, there's certain things obviously that coaches always say, but I really believe that coaches are going to go back to their 3 or 4 things that they have such conviction on what they believe is the best way for them to give an opportunity to win games. And I have about 3 or 4 of those things, and a lot of that is based on effort based more so than on strategic based. And I think strategy and technique is secondary to competitive excellence, to trying to you're flying around. Like, I use a terminology like winning that possession is more important than breathing. Like, every possession is precious to me, like every single one. And so having that mentality, like, to win that singular possession for that part at 14:31 to go in the first half, that possession is just as important as the possession is with 32 seconds left in the game. And trying to instill that and install that into our guys is, one, mentally, and then in two, make it a habit where it's just an everyday, all day emphasizing it and reinforcing it and re-emphasizing it again is part of what we're trying to do here.
Well, let's look at a little bit about your philosophy and like in your defensive DNA. You've run everything from pressure man to man to high 1-3-1 zones to kind of a hybrid scheme. What do you think? What are you trying to build as the defensive identity at UNLV?
Well, first of all, the defensive side of the ball, you've got to be able to be in a situation where you're a multiple effort team. Like, you got to have a hit first mentality or multiple effort. But then I like to, I'm a changing up a defensive guy, and trying to keep teams off of rhythm. I do play multiple defenses. I think it's good. It's been successful for me in my time. I probably lean more to the defensive side of the ball sometimes than I do to the offensive side of the ball, because defense, so much of it's just based on, it's less strategy and technique, and it's more black and white, where you're not going at the speed and the pace and the intensity and the sense of urgency that I'm requiring. That's our standard. It's very black and white. Sometimes when you have more gray area, and you're not as sure, there's less accountability, less gray, more accountability. So defensively, we try to, now there's some gray area because of the zone stuff that we do. There's a little gray here and there, but I try to make it as black and white as in terms of the effort based on what we do and how we do it, so we can grade and judge the guys based on that, on if we're playing at a defensive level of that I'm going to hold to our standard that we need to be at.
When do you realize that you need to, switch it up a little bit? Is it just more of a matchup base? Is it just kind of to throw teams off?
No,
How do you kind of gauge that?
I think it's different. I mean, it could be based on scouting, it could be based on feel, flow of the game, what certain defenses that we work that we're charting. We're big about getting 3 stops in a row. If you can get 3 stops in a row during a course of a game, so 7 times during the course of a 40-minute game, three consecutive clean stops, you have a great chance. You're in the high 90% chances of winning that game. So, and sometimes it could just be the game where you're playing man to man the entire game. Maybe a game you're playing all zone. Maybe it's a game you're playing 40% one defense, 30% another, 20% another, and 10%. It just depends on how the flow and the feel of the game's going. And again, it depends on who's out there, what certain systematically schemes that certain teams may be performing or running that would factor in what we're doing and how we change or how often we change. So those type of things all go into, with deep thinking, a lot of preparation, and a lot of scouting as at the same time.
So you mentioned, the defense is more black and white, and there's not a lot of gray area. How do you teach your players to buy into that?
Well,
Especially in the era where a lot of guys want to score, but your system's going to demand them to focus on your defense discipline and accountability.
yeah, well, I mean, I think you got to, when you teach it, it's got to be an everyday walk of life of you got to be obsessed with it. Like if you're not, if the head coach isn't obsessive about it, then it's not going to work. And I'm obsessed about it. And it's an everyday, all day, emphasize, reinforce and then reemphasize again. I mean, it's just, there's no other way. I mean, it's just everything we talk about, everything our messaging, everything that we're locked in on, the film work, pictures in our locker room, the messages that we deliver every day, all day. I'm obsessed about it. And so it's got to, that's my point, is trying to instill into the guys' mental. So it's a mentality. And then from there, it becomes a habit every single day.
So you guys still have a couple scholarships open. So I know
Well, we
that.
only have one. We have one scholarship open because. So I want to be clear on this. Yes, right now we're allowed 15 scholarships per the NCAA rules. But right now, based on some certain things, we're only being given 13 for 25, 26. So
Okay.
we're not doing 15 based on certain things, that we're only doing 13 for 25, 26. So we have 12 on scholarship. We have one open. And then what I would do is look to sign one more player. One, it fits with what we're doing. And two, remember, we don't have a lot of money left either to pay the player. So it's got to fit scholarship. We don't have a lot of money left for that one final player. And so that's just the reality of it. Are there good players out there? You're darn right. But there's also, they come at a higher price tag. And we just don't have that currently in our budget to afford to pay a certain guy that's at that financial wish list. So in 26, 27, we will go to full 15 scholarships, and then we'll be at 15. But for 25, 26, we are at 13. That's got to be very clear. We are just, this is what's been instructed to me, that we're going to be at 13, and then 26, 27, we will go to 15. And we're at 12. So I have one more to sign. We will sign another player. So I'm trying to making sure, again, I call it kind of, we're trying to do a great job evaluating to find the right piece that fits with what we want to do culturally, that can help us, but also that can fit within our budget as well too. And again, there's been some guys we've looked at, but talking to their agent, the financials are just higher than what we have. And so that takes us out of that component at that current time.
Yeah, I would say you can answer. Thank you for answering that, because it was kind of, my question was more of what do you look for? and you kind of answered that spot on. So thank you for that one. Let's touch on your the offense. Your offense blends, Princeton concepts, spacing, cutting, high post reads, and you adjust, like you've mentioned, to the flow of your players. How do you how does your how did you end up deciding that you can blend and fuse, Princeton concept with a dribble drive type of offense?
Well, it was interesting. When I was at Memphis, we played about as fast as anybody in the country. We tried to score 100 points a game all the time. We were very, very high scoring. Then when I went to Georgia Tech, I felt to win in the ACC. And now, when I was coaching in that ACC, that was ACC with about 6 Hall of Fame coaches. 3 more are going to be in the Hall of Fame. You had players up and down. The twos, the threes, and the fours were all pro prospects. It was the height of the ACC. So I felt, okay, how are we going to have success in there? And I felt we had to be totally different than any other team in that league. And so we ran Princeton, traditional Princeton offense, with combining it with the dribble drive, as you mentioned, to be different. And then we did some different things defensively. But we also played a little slower possessions. But I felt that's what we had to do in order for us to give us our best chance to win. But I love the concepts of the Princeton and the dribble drive as in terms of the cutting. I love cutting. Believer in player movement. Player movement, player movement, player movement. But we need to play really fast here. So my mentality has shifted from Georgia Tech more to Memphis in playing as downhill and being running rebel basketball as much as we can with some of the concepts, but not traditional Princeton, more just making sure there's still great cutting and ball movement, but playing with great pace and speed. And we want to play as fast as possible. But the best way to play as fast as possible is we've got to be great defensively, getting stops on that one side of the ball so we're not continually taking it out of the net. So we get stops and we can run on the other direction.
With so many new faces on the roster, and you're trying to blend all different personality types and game and styles of play, how do you teach rhythm and chemistry and kind of that free flowing offense?
Well, it's again, you got to be obsessed about it, that the ball doesn't stick. The ball's got to move. You've got to play with great urgency. You've got to make sure that the intensity that you cut with, both the entrance cut to the rim and the exit cutting out, all those type of things have got to be demanded, held accountable. Those can't have gray areas on certain those things. There might be some gray areas on a pick and roll basketball systematically where a guy rejects the screen because he sees an opening and whatever. There's some gray areas on the systematically because a guy could see something, an opening where based on how the defense is played, and basketball is so instinctively, you got to make decisions so quick. But the black and white part of it, the standards, the demanding of the accountability, where there's no, it's got to be the pace that you cut at, the way we move the ball, the open man's the go-to man, the go-to man's the open man, and those type of things that we do at the offensive rebounding. How are we crashing the glass? Are we doing it with such force and intensity, and treating that rebound as a loose ball, and that it's life or death to get that loose ball that's up in the air? Those type of things has got to be on an obsessive mentalities from the head coach that's mirrored to, and the players got to mirror that.
So speaking on the mentality and the mindset of players, when you evaluate talent now, whether it's a high school kid or a kid in the portal, what's the first trait that you look for that grabs your attention?
Well, even for the sign that we signed this year's team, we really put a lot of emphasis on shooting and toughness. So shooting and toughness. I think those two were big things. We're looking for that. There's certain characteristics that I try to find. Myself and our staff, we're hard evaluators. I think it's not all about recruiting. I think it's more about evaluating and player development more than recruiting. Like Cooper Flagg, when he was playing in high school, like you could evaluate it. I mean, that was just a recruit, it's not about, that it's about evaluating the person who's maybe not as ranked as high, but it's going to be better than the guys who are ranked ahead of them. It's finding that guy who's got that drive within, that's when they get here, they want to get so much better that they're going to be just a sponge and just play so darn hard because they have such great appreciation that they're going to find a way to win. So it's finding those things. That's why my point is it's not, I don't like to use the word recruiting. Yes, recruiting is the lifeline of your program. I understand how important recruiting is. I get it. You got to have money to spend to go get the players. But from there, that doesn't, just because you have money doesn't mean you can just go get a bunch of players and your team's going to be successful. It means you got to go get the right players who are highly talented, but who are aligned with what you're about and who are aligned with wearing that jersey with UNLV on the front and understanding that um, is part of the deal of the evaluation. And then when you get here, they're going to get better. The survivability of my career has been on getting guys better. Like it is just, I have survived on getting guys who aren't. Now I've recruited at a very high level, but we've taken guys throughout my time who were way underneath the radar and who just overachieve like you wouldn't believe. And part of that is based on player development and the intensity that we go at with getting guys better and the conditioning. I'm a big believer in endurance mindset. Like you can't be at a high level if you're not in great shape, cardiovascular shape, VO2 max shape to play at the level that we need to play. You've got to be in great cardiovascular, VO2 max, high intensity training to be able to have that lactate threshold to withstand it. And or when there's a break, you're able to recover very quickly so you can then go back up very quickly at the intensity that needs to be held at when the game is in a free flowing, with multiple possessions up and down.
What's the first thing you want a player to understand when they walk into your program?
Probably to understand about the competitive excellence. Like this is who we are, this is how we're going to be, and this is a standard that we're going to hold you to, and you're going to be coached hard, and it might not be for everybody, but there's trying to be really on the front end of it as they walk in the program, they know what they're getting into. So if they want to be here, they're 2 feet in. Not one in, one out. It's got to be all both feet in.
UNLV has had a lot of talent come through over the years, but the consistency of the program has been tough. How do you build a culture in place at a university where the expectations are so high by fans?
Well, it's great. You want fans you want to be at a program where they care, and they care here. So that's great. And we want to get the fans, we want them to be emotionally invested into their program. This is not my program. This is their program. This is the former players program, the former coaches program. This is the fan bases program. Like I said at the beginning of our talk here, I'm just here to kind of be the gatekeeper to kind of help move the program forward. So this is their program, and that's what our job is to do, is to make sure the fans are emotionally invested. We want to win not just every game, but every single possession. I mean, we literally want to win every single possession. But there's going to be some times where we have a tough night and we're not playing well, could drop a game here or there. That happens, obviously, you're in sports. And the fans aren't going to be happy when, if we're not playing well, and that should be expected and demanded from the fans because this is their program. And if they're invested in it emotionally, that's a good thing. You don't want where they don't care. So I'd rather have it where they care. And I got no problem with high expectations or standards or wanting to shoot for the very highest level of success. That's all well and good. And that's why we're here.
Do you have anything set up preseason wise as for fans to get to know your team yet?
We haven't set anything up yet. I haven't even got to that point. I'm just trying to, like I said, still trying to finish out a roster, still trying to get through the summer. It's been whirlwind. It's just been since I've been named the head coach back in later March. And I really haven't had a chance to stop and I'm just taking it one day at a time. And I'm sure as we get to the fall, the marketing team and stuff will have to think about those type of things on if there's an event to do for the fans to see the team beforehand. So those are all things on our to-do list. We're just, when you're taking something over at this massive of a program. And I've been out everywhere. I've been trying to get out to the fans to be as present into the community as much as possible. I think the summer league here, just the last 10 days, was so terrific, awesome, fantastic, incredible.
What was the atmosphere for that first game with Cooper Flag and Bronny?
Yeah, no, it was just the whole thing about it was just amazing and just a real honor to be part of it. And it was so important for UNLV, the foot traffic, the meeting of the agents who we're dealing with in recruiting all the time. So it was a great opportunity for us.
What do you want Las Vegas high school and AAU coaches to know about how you plan to recruit the city?
Yeah, look, we want to protect our backyard and recruit in the city and do a great job evaluating. But look, the reality of it is things have changed. You're not going to win with just all high school guys anymore. You're going to have to get portal guys. You're going to have to get older. You're going to have to get transfer guys. So we want to do a great job in our backyard in recruiting, but there might be a guy or two that might not be ready to come out to UNLV initially, goes to somewhere for a year or two, plays well, then can transfer back type thing. So that's all part of the evaluation aspect of it. So we want to do a great job recruiting locally, but we're also going to have to attack the portal. I think UNLV is a great destination for transfers. I think it's maybe the most sweetest and perfect spot for transfers all over. Whether you're at a level below and you want to move a level up, or you're at a certain school and you want to maybe things didn't go exactly as planned and you want to come back towards us. And so we're in a great sweet spot on that. Yes, we want to do a great job with high school recruiting, which we're going to do, but there's no doubt about it that we're going to put a lot of emphasis into that portal. And we're going to have great opportunities in the portal and internationally. I mean, the amount of calls that we're still getting for really good prospects, but as I mentioned earlier, we just don't have the financial means to get those guys currently right now. Is a great thing for UNLV.
You've been in the game for a long time. What's the biggest thing you've had to unlearn and relearn as the sport's evolved over the years?
And to answer back, it's a great thing that all these people want to still send us players. And as I mentioned, we don't have the financial means for on these certain guys right now. It's a great thing that they're calling us, but that's where the next thing we need to do is keep raising our profile financially so we can keep getting we got to be able to get those guys. It's great they're wanting to send us to us, but now the next thing for us, it would be great if we can then we got to get out there and continue to try to raise as much money as we can, but to keep trying to get some of those level of guys. And yes, I've been in the game my whole life basically, but it's changed now. It's just a different time period right now. And if you don't like dealing with people, you can't, the game's awfully hard because, as I just mentioned, you're going to have to be out in the community. You've got to go try to raise money. You've got to try to do all those different things. And the game has just evolved because of the transfer portal. It's more of it's year by year now, more so than kind of a 3-4 year program. Your culture can stay in place, but your team could change literally every single year. That's just the reality of it.
You've coached in some crazy places as Memphis and Atlanta. What does the energy in Vegas feel like to you, and how does it compare to those places?
Now, the energy here has been just amazing. And Thomas and Mack Center is a big time arena. And I know when that place gets filled, it's the real deal. And you look at all the foot traffic that has come through here in the history of Thomas and Mack Center, whether it's NBA games, NBA. In fact, I think before LeBron set the scoring record, Kareem will set a scoring record here was at.
Yep, he did.
Yep. You look at all the different events, the artists, musicians that have come and played here. It's just the energy's there. We just got to get people back in there, and then we've got to put a great product on that floor and win games and do all those things. But it's an amazing, amazing place, and really excited about it.
Is there a part of the Vegas lifestyle you've actually embraced more than you've expected to yet?
All I've done is I wake up really early, work out, come to work all day and late into the evening, and then go home. So and obviously in between those times, whether it's recruiting or going out, meeting people and being in the community. So it's been a cool deal on that, with being able to just integrate myself into the community, and it's a real family atmosphere, and the people are awesome. So I just think the people here in Las Vegas have been absolutely just outstanding, awesome, family friendly. It's a great environment. We just got to get everyone back into Thomas and Mack Center. Bottom line.
Have you found have you picked have you found a favorite restaurant yet, or found a hidden gem yet?
The food here is the best. There's too many good restaurants. I can't pick one. There's just too many. I haven't had one bad meal since I've eaten here. I love the food here, and I like to eat. I'm a big eater.
Have you found any good places where you've gotten really good rice yet?
I've had everywhere I go, I get rice. I'm trying to maybe cut back on it a little bit, so I stay in good shape. But yes, I do like rice, but I've tried to cut back a little bit here and there, so make sure as I continue to get older, to keep my health.
How are you adjusting so far? How's your family adjusting?
Good. Family's been good. They just got here about 2 weeks ago, and it's been good. My family loves it, and yeah, it's been a good deal. And once school gets started and we can get in a routine and everything, that will be a good deal for my kids and all that. But they're awesome. My wife's awesome, and and as we get going closer to season, people will get to know them more and see them at the games, and that'll be cool as well too.
I have a couple of fun questions for you. Who is an all-time coach that you would love to sit down with for a chat? and just pick their brain?
You know what? I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great coaches, but I was, everyone talks about John Wooden, but I was very fortunate to work for Lute Olson, play for Coach Lute Olson, work for Lute Olson, who learned all this stuff from John Wooden. So I feel like I got a lot of that knowledge, kind of how John Wooden was. I was able to learn some of that and sit down through him through Lute Olson.
Any guilty pleasures, whether it's a TV show or snack or any superstitions?
I'm trying to do better, but I do have a sweet tooth for chocolate. But I'm trying to be better about that.
What's one thing about you that people wouldn't guess?
I don't use any profanity. I don't use any curse words. I don't allow, and when I'm in the practice, I don't let my coaches curse, and I don't let the players use profanity. I tell them, nope, gotta have, to me, that's all part of discipline on that. Now, many coaches have used a lot of foul language and have been extremely successful, but just on my side of it, I just, kind of just a thing. I think it's a good deal for me and for our program, and that's kind of how I am.
What's a drill or practice routine your players secretly love, even if they won't admit it?
We do a lot of disadvantage drills, meaning like 4-on-3, 3-on-2, 5-on-4, which is pretty intense. We call them blood drills, and because it gets intense. Not a lot of fouls are called. Sometimes there's blood coming out, and that's why they're called blood drills, but they like it.
I don't know. What would be your favorite basketball book or podcast that's helped you shaped how you've seen the game a little bit?
The Pat Riley, The Winner Within. I tell you, is a great book, great basketball book. How about this one? This is my new favorite book by Jerry Tarkanian. Pressure Defense Philosophy and Amoeba Defense by Jerry Tarkanian. This is my new favorite book. I've read it already. Really, really good.
Have you implemented any of the amoeba?
I have not yet, but I will. We just haven't done that this summer because we're not there yet. We're still working on some other things. We haven't got to that part of the defenses, but there will be some signs of that, yes.
So we'll end with this. What do you want Rebel fans to feel when they watch your team this upcoming season?
No, I want them to be excited about, again, this is their program. This is their team. I want them to have great enthusiasm. I want them to see their team diving on the floor, diving in the stands for loose balls, the effort base that they play with on the glass, the way we move the ball. I just want them to have great excitement about their team. I want them to, look, winning, we all want to win every single game, as I mentioned, every single possession. But if we took that out of it for 1 second, and I know we're in sports and there's a scoreboard, you're not taking that out of it, but you get what I'm trying to say. If they just took that out for a second, say, man, I just love watching the team play because of the way how they play. They play with such appreciation. They really they look like they're just with such great intensity, and they look like they belong in Las Vegas because of the excitement. They're blue collar, they're tough, they're hard nosed, and then obviously you want to add winning to that, but kind of that image of that vision of what I see is I want the fan bases, their team, their program, that they see that what they see on the floor, that they're excited to come back to the next game, to the next game, to the next game, because they love watching their team play and how they play with the intensity that they play at.
It's like, you're watching them play, and it's like, taking the winning losses out of it. It's, what? Those guys play hard.
That's right. That's exactly right. They play with great competitive fire, great competitive excellence. And if you do that, you're going to have a loss here. That's just, that's part of sports, obviously, but you're going to win the majority of your games if you're going to have a good record and have a good season if you play with that competitive excellence and competitive fire. And I think for teams to be successful, you've got to find ways to win games when you're not scoring the ball, when you're not shooting the ball well. And how do you do that? You better be ultra competitive with great excellence and fire about you in your belly and your gut. And that's what the fan base of Rebel Nation wants to see.
Coach, thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure having you on. And go Rebels. I bought my season tickets already. I hope you guys do too.
UNLVtickets.com. UNLVtickets.com. Please get your season tickets. Get your tickets. UNLVtickets.com. Thank you for buying your tickets. We don't take that for granted for you being a season ticket holder. We want Thomas and Mack Center filled up. Let's go running Rebels.